The following production is part of the Play Some Video Games podcast network.
I say it's time we focus on what really matters. The games. Who's with me?
Hello, good morning, and welcome to episode 26 of the PlayStation Experience podcast, the PlayStation Vita to PSVG Prime's PS3, and Play Some Video Games premiere PlayStation podcast. How's it going this morning, Justin?
It's cold. It's really cold. Yeah.
It's cold here, too. It's -3 degrees.
Yeah, I don't know what the actual temperature is, but I know like majority of the schools around me have closed due to wind chill this morning.
Yeah.
Well,
my school closed due to Martin Luther King Day, so we don't go to school on Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
We also would be closed due to the cold and due to our city not having all the side streets clear from snow that came yesterday. So, anyway, so it's just as well that we have today off, which I forgot about when I scheduled us recording a podcast this morning that I could have slept in.
You know,
okay.
but now you're up, you're well adjusted already. You got your coffee, you're ready to go, ready to record a really great podcast today.
I am. Great podcast. I suppose I didn't introduce myself. I'm one of your co-hosts, Seth. Of course, joined this week by Justin. We're going to cover this week's new releases, some recent news highlights, and we'll also be talking our gaming origin stories, how we got into gaming. For a reason that I'll talk about a little bit later. First, it looks like your list is pretty short on this. What have you been playing?
So I've mostly just been playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Yep, still playing that. I won a battle royale, my first battle royale match last Sunday, which I was super excited about. Only took me 96 matches to get there.
Jeez.
So, and like you might mention, like sometimes matches can only last a minute or two. So, if you're one of the first ones out, but yeah, I still play Call of Duty, still loving it. There is a new mode out, called Down and Out or something like that. I can't remember the exact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I saw that. It
I don't
never down but not out.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which basically, so like you play quads, which is, you got a 4-player team. If at least one of the players makes it through the next round of shrinking, basically a circle, then all the other players are revived. And I have a feeling they did this because, well, by the time this comes out, the free week will be over. But I think they released it during that free week so that, if you got less experienced people playing with you, they can be revived after a round or whatever. Yeah. So, but still playing that. And I did jump into Steep yesterday, and I don't know if I like that game at all.
Yeah, I also tried Steep, and it is no longer on my console.
Yeah, I might give it one more shot because it actually didn't finish downloading. It had said it was done, but then it was one of those things where in game it still hadn't been done downloading.
Okay.
But I feel like it took a long time just to get to that point. So I might give it one more shot, but I played through the tutorial, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was just immediately turned off. I thought I was getting myself into a snowboarding game, and this is just some sort of weird X Games open world thing.
Yeah, it's an interesting game, but I didn't find this time that it controls particularly well for some. I don't know. I couldn't turn the way I wanted to turn, and probably because the only snowboarding games I played are more arcade, SSX and Cool Borders, and I mean it's been a while since I played a snowboarding game. And this game I don't know if sim is the right word exactly, but it's more sim.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely more controls to it.
Yeah.
They want you to. It's almost like you've got your steering, and then you've got your fine tuning steering with the left stick and the right stick. So, but that bothered me maybe a little bit. I think I could have gotten around that if it was just strict playing, doing matches or whatever, or races. But instead, they got this like open world setup where you're supposed to like hop from place to place, and it takes time, way too much time, to go from race to race, and I just didn't like it. And then I was not expecting it at all for there to be paragliding or wingsuiting.
Yeah.
Like I don't know who thought it was a good idea to put this in the game. They could have just made a really good snowboarding game, but instead they try to make it this Ubisoft open world thing, and I just don't think it works.
Yeah, it's I was actually looking forward to it. I was excited when it was announced as a free game, but
Yeah, I was in the same boat. So yeah, that's too bad. But that was really all I've been playing.
cool.
It's been a lot of Call of Duty for me.
All right.
I did play a little bit more of the Red Dead 2 prologue. But I haven't like gotten very far in that. I just played like a mission or two.
Okay. So speaking of Call of Duty, Blackout mode is free for this past week. Of course, our podcast posts on Wednesdays. At this point, I believe the free trial goes off maybe tonight or tomorrow. I forget. We are recording this on Monday, and on Tuesday we hosted our first PSXP community gaming night that hopefully some of you have joined us on. So we're kind of in the spot where, as we're recording this, that hasn't happened yet, but as this releases, it will have happened. So I'm just going to pretend that I won my first Battle Royale Blackout attempt. I'm just going to pretend that I won. It took you 96 matches. It took me
less than 10.
Less than 10. It's
all right.
3 matches.
That's fair enough.
So
I like your odds in this.
So in reality, I downloaded the Blackout demo and tried to get into it last night, but couldn't because of some email issues. And so I played this morning before we recorded, getting into how the sausage is made. We record this podcast at 6 a.m. on Monday mornings, which is probably why we sometimes sound kind of tired. But it's a good time for us. I logged on to Call of Duty Blackout at 5:48 a.m. this morning. I played 2 rounds and started recording this podcast at 5:59 a.m. So in 11 minutes, I loaded into 2 rounds, loaded into the whatever they call the pre before everything starts, and got killed twice in 11 minutes. So,
off to a good start.
Oh yeah. The first time I played, it was a quad, just because I didn't know what I was doing, and it just picked quads for me. The other 3, I think, knew each other, and so they were off on their own part of the map, and I'm, by myself running around. And then the second time, I spawned on a beach and couldn't find any weapons, and then just got killed real easily. Though I think that if I were playing, if I knew I was going to have a long time to play, I would have probably hid. I was in a bathroom. I probably could have just stayed in the bathroom and gotten a top 50, maybe even top 25.
Yeah.
That's my usual strategy for Battle Royale games, which is probably why I don't win. But I can, in Fortnite, I have gotten a number of top 20s by just hiding in a bathroom or something.
Yeah. Yeah, you get points if you because there's like some sort of progression system with this. You only get points if you get top 15.
Oh, okay.
Which still, even if you just hide, as long as you're lucky with where the map is shrinking, you can still get top 15 with just hiding and not. So when I won that one match, I got 2 kills in the entire match, and they were both within the last minute of the game.
Okay.
So I mostly just kind of ran around hiding, and then I kind of just got lucky with where everything was spawning and made my last 2 kills. So
it probably obviously helps to know the map and to just have experience with the game. I mean, I haven't my first person shooter experience in the past 5 years is basically Destiny.
Yeah, which is definitely you're used to jumping around a lot
Yep.
and doing specials and other stuff. Yeah, it's definitely a different game. So the map thing will probably be the most important thing. Play a couple more matches, get used to where not. I mean, I don't even know the whole map. I kind of just stick to the areas I've known, and then every once in a while I kind of venture off to a new area.
Mm-hmm.
But and I've noticed a trend that the map always shrinks towards the outside of the main map.
Okay.
So like it'll try to like spread you out to the edges basically. So, but yeah, it'll you know get a few matches and I think it'll be fun actually with a bunch of people who new people.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of have fun with it. I think
Yeah.
we'll have had fun.
Yeah. With the quads, the new mode down but not out. Is there a match timer? Like, is there a set time where, hey, this match will only last 20 minutes?
I think so actually because I did notice I only played one match of it and I noticed usually usually it keeps counting down the map shrinks and it gets to a very small circle where you know mostly everyone's kind of in one little tiny circle and then it just keeps going in until you're all in the whatever they call it the outside of the match or whatever. So
Okay.
but in that other mode it starts doing that like with a huge circle where like it just continually it doesn't keep making smaller circles, it just continues to grow and so it like really forces you into each other really
Okay.
fast. So I'd say 15-20 minutes maybe.
Okay. I forgot about that. By shrinking the map, it automatically, it's not, they don't need to set a timer, but eventually you're all going to be so close to each other that.
Yeah, which in a normal match takes at least half hour I'd say, but
Okay.
in this down but not out mode they are trying to force you
Okay.
sooner. So
So that might be what we will have played. So I don't know the game. My very quick, awful, awful playing me being awful at it impressions are it looks great. Even just this demo, it's a really good looking game, which shouldn't be surprising because it's Activision and they've got a huge budget. And it controls really smoothly, and it's. I mean, I can tell it's a good game. I haven't even shot a gun yet. So, other things I've actually been playing Red Dead 2. I'm in Chapter 5. I actually want to talk some story stuff with Justin, and we're going to do that at the end of this episode. So we can talk some spoilers up through about the midpoint of Chapter 5. But we don't want you to stop listening now or anything. So we're going to do that at the end of the episode. Also, have been playing Horizon Chase Turbo actually on my Switch, but it's also on PS4. I just beat the World Tour mode, which I've done. I did on iPhone, and then now I've done on Switch. And then I started playing Endurance mode. In Endurance mode, you pick a car, and you start off with no upgrades, and then there's 3 different modes, and the shortest one is 12 races, and you have to beat that to unlock the medium mode, which is 36 races. You have to do that to unlock the longest endurance, which I think is 48 races. I haven't gotten there yet. And each race you have to finish in 5th place or better. If you don't finish in at least 5th place, then you lose. You're done with the endurance mode and you have to start over again. And then throughout you get to upgrade your car. And it's really fun. It's a different way to play the game. And I mean, Horizon Chase Turbo is a very solid arcade racer. It's a good game. It's fun. Also, I jumped back into Dirt Rally. With Dirt Rally 2.0 coming up at the end of February, I decided I wanted to get back into Dirt Rally, and I've been doing some rallycross racing. And it's a really solid game. I don't know that I'm going to get Dirt Rally 2.0 just because there's so much of the first game that I haven't completed yet. So I'll see. But it's a solid racing game. And then the other thing that I've been playing, not sure how much we can talk about it. I'll just say that Media Molecule has been putting on the Dreams beta for the past couple. Well, actually, it's been probably about a month since they started the closed beta.
Yep.
And it continues through February 4th. I believe the final invites were going out this week, and then on their YouTube channel, maybe on Twitch, I don't know. They have been streaming once a week some of their highlights of the beta of what people have created, and I've watched those, and I'll just say I'm based on even based on just watching those, nothing about whether I've actually played the game or not. The game, it looks really cool. I'm really impressed by what people can do, and what all the different kinds of things they can build, and I'm really looking forward to it actually being released, and then probably about 3 months after release, seeing what is there. What have you thought about some of the things you've seen that have been released about Dreams and some of the levels? Have
Yeah.
you had a chance to explore that too much?
Yeah. No, I've seen things on online about this.
Things.
Yeah, it's exactly what I thought it was going to be.
They
And for
are who we
some,
thought they were.
yeah, exactly. And for some people, that's probably a bad thing, but for me, and I think you, it's a good thing. Because it's an amazing tool set that people are going to make really crazy stuff with. And so far from what I've seen, it's pretty easy to choose what other people are creating. And there'll definitely we'll see how they curate stuff when the game actually comes out. But yeah, like you said, this has only been out for about a month, and some of the stuff is really crazy already.
Yeah, they some of the levels, they have a Guitar Hero-esque
Yep.
kind of game, a rhythm game that's solid and that someone, created their own music for. There's a driving game where you take this, they took this Jeep, and it's really just, at this point, everything is a demo. It's like proof of concept kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's like a demo disc. Everything that they're showing, on these live streams and that's available in the game right now, and it's cool, and it looks like, when they're playing, when Media Molecule is playing, they're doing everything just with the DualShock, and the little guy, the imp, that's what they're called, is really responsive, and it works with the motion, and it's really impressive. I look forward to, like I said, to the release. I don't know how they're going to monetize this. When they release, if it's a $60 release, I after seeing it in action, almost can't imagine it releasing any other way than a $60 full retail release.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I don't know how you make money on it.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if they're gonna get their money back on this one because they've been making it for so long. Unless they put some sort of monetization inside of the game as well. Another thing is, like, I was kind of thinking about it, like, people are going to end up spending, thousands of hours on their game within the game, and they're not going to, there's no chance for them to get anything back on that.
Yep.
But I wonder if that'll change.
Well, I've thought about this a lot, actually. That for one, if you and I teamed up on a really cool game that was, I don't know, whatever kind of game we'd make, Shovel Knight-esque, and then it started getting noticed, maybe that's a path to a job with a game developer, which could be pretty neat. Other thing I've thought about it, and this would take, I'm not sure how realistic this is, because it would take some policing on Media Molecule's end, is charging. There might be some creators or some games that would actually be charged for. So if you, maybe as a creator, you reach a certain level and then you create a game and you choose, okay, I'm going to charge $5 for this 3-hour experience, and then users know that creator is reputable and is good, and so I'll pay $5 to play that person's game.
Yeah.
But that would take that would take a lot of resources, because I don't know. I don't know how exactly you make it. I also, for the company making money, could see like them having guest creators, like Neil Druckmann from Naughty Dog comes in and creates some levels on using the Dreams stuff, and then you pay $10 so you can play Naughty Dog's Dreams creations, something like that, where they have actual game developers come in, make levels, and then you pay to one, play those levels, and maybe even two, use the assets that those creators create. I don't know. So those are my couple of ideas for how they could possibly monetize it.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I kind of think at the end of the day, it's probably just gonna be a $60 game, and like you said, I guess from my point of view, it's like, oh, creators should be making money on this or whatever. But in reality, people have been making mods, spend thousands of hours on mods for PC games. They've been doing that for decades now.
Yep.
And a lot of times it's just for fun, and sometimes it's to get recognition and maybe work your way up to, a real developer job.
Yeah.
So I guess I shouldn't worry too much about those people getting paid. I mean, if they want to do it, they're going to do it.
It's like anything. I know, like in the NBA 2K world, there are guys who played the game. Like I don't actually know what his real name is, but Dazar works for 2K. I think fine tuning their defense. But he started out as like a streamer, and he just played the game and was really involved in the community and gave tips, and eventually he got a job.
Yeah,
at least I think that was his story. I know that they've had people like that, and I think the same thing with Little Big Planet. Level creators who were prolific in the early Little Big Planet days have caught on at Media Molecule or have been able in a position to give feedback on their future games.
Yeah, I think it happens a lot. Like I know I'm way behind the times, but I just kind of found out about Dr. Disrespect, even though I think he's been around for quite a long time now. But I kind of just read like his kind of backstory, and same thing. He was a really good Call of Duty player that was streaming, and then I don't remember which branch of Call of Duty he ended up working on, but he was brought on to be the community manager, basically, just because he was really good at the game and was streaming and knew a lot about it. And then that also led to him developing maps because he was a competitive player. So I know they do that with a lot of competitive players, bring them in to help with the maps. So yeah, I'm still excited for it though. And do you think this could be like, would schools ever be interested in a product like this?
So from my, I work for school district, and like I know in our high school's media center, we have a couple VR units that kids can use. Like we have, I think it's some like architecture program where they put on the unit and then they can design stuff from inside VR, and then they can do some other things too. And we have something we call it a maker space. We call it a maker space where students can go and they learn computer programming, some basic things, computer programming. They build their own video games, small concept levels. They do some stuff. They just create things. Whether it's we have a 3D printers, and they just learn how to do things. A lot of it's with technology and science, technology, engineering, math. That kind of stuff. So I could see this really fitting right in. At our high school in that space, especially if you get the wands, the move wands, and they can, you create artwork, you can create levels, but it would really take, it's going to take a teacher who probably already is interested in this and probably plays around with it at home and says, I can incorporate this into my classroom. Because the tools, while I think they seem to be intuitive, they're also pretty deep, and to get to the point from, hey, I can move this 3D sphere shape around, or this 3D block, and I can multiply it so that I can create a bridge or create stairs or something. To go from that to having a blank slate and creating an entire game universe is going to take a lot of time, and at least for someone who's a beginner just getting into it. So it would take the right teacher. Certainly, I mean that's true just about any subject really, but it would take the right teacher to really implement it and to get to know the software. But I could definitely see it being done. Or I could even see it being used, as a teaching tool, where if the right, we don't know what could be made out of this. Somebody could make a museum filled with real artwork that then schools could walk around in.
Yeah.
and view artwork. Or I don't even.
Yeah.
I have no clue. That's where I'm coming into this wanting to play what other people's creations are. I don't
Not from the creation
think
side.
of myself as being a creator. I mean, I'm going to try and do, learn some of that, but I don't particularly think of myself as creative in that way. So
That makes sense.
yeah,
But it kind of depends on the teacher more than other, because someone would have to be kind of invested into that. So
I also think if that would be, and that could be how Sony could make money, by pushing it into some schools. If that would be actually Sony or Media Molecule's goal, they probably need to have an initiative where they, and I know they do this, have some programs like this where you would apply for a program and it'd be like, oh, we can win 2 PS4s with Dreams and Move Wands, and they actually come in and teach the staff how to use it and really push it on that end. I could see something like that happening if that's in their goals. Who knows? Could be in their goals just to get this game out, and I really hope that the game is successful on some level, and that Media Molecule stays stays together. That because if this game bombs and they've spent so long, and it's not like I don't think any of their games have been huge sellers. Maybe the first Little Big Planet maybe was, I don't know, but Sony has been closing down studios, so I'm hoping that Media Molecule is safe throughout all this, and because they're obviously talented and really they seem like really cool people too. I've enjoyed watching their streams. So moving forward, we're going to cover this week's new releases, which there are not a ton of, and really going down through the drop, I think there's kind of one release.
it's one really big one.
Yeah, the Resident Evil 2, the remake of Resident Evil 2 is out this week.
Yep.
And it's a lot of people are excited for that. They had that one-shot demo, which is you get 30 minutes and try to survive for 30 minutes. I've not played it or really watched anything about it, but I know it's getting rave reviews. So that is the big game this week. There's also this smaller game called Wander Song.
Yep.
Where it's like a 2D side scroller, and you, instead of battling, you play music. Have you watched anything about Wander Song?
No, I've heard of it, but never really played it or anything.
It says you play as a silly bard who embarks on a globe-trotting journey to learn about the mysterious Earth song said to prevent the universe's imminent end. It's up to you to sing your songs, unlock the world's secrets, and make new friends. So I watched a little bit of gameplay, and you have, when you go to a battle, there's a circle around you, and it's all I think the different colors of the rainbow based on where you point your thumbstick, and you have to match your colors to whatever colors and patterns you're seeing, and that's how you battle. That's how you sing.
Okay.
So it's been out on Switch for a few months, and it's I don't know. I think it's gotten good reviews.
Yep. And the only other game I saw on the drop I've heard about is that Realm Royale.
Okay.
Which is like a battle royale, kind of looks like Fortnite, but it's got magic and stuff in it. So it's just a little bit different.
I think that's based off that Paladins game, or is an offshoot of Paladins.
I would agree with that. Yeah, that's probably why I've heard of it a lot. So
yeah, and that's I think, is it free to play?
I believe so.
Paladins is, so I suppose Realm Royale probably would be. At this point, everything has a battle royale. I think Ace Combat 7 has some sort of a battle royale mode.
Really?
Yeah.
100 jet fighter planes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So pretty light week, but Resident Evil 2 certainly a great game, and I think everything's clearing the slate for next week when Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, and then we get into February, and the big releases are off to the races. So, do have some news items. I have a few things lined up here. Do you want to get into the Days Gone stuff?
Yeah, we can talk about that. I don't know a ton about it, but I had heard about this.
Okay. So PlayStation Blog, they released it's a video about the world of Days Gone, the Farewell Wilderness. and then they revealed their pre-order bonuses in their special edition. So if you pre-order the game, you get a voucher to unlock the Drifter crossbow and upgrades for your Drifter bike's nitrous, gas tank, and shroud early in the game that'll help you survive on the broken road. And then there's a couple special editions. There's the digital deluxe edition and then a physical one. The physical one comes with a steelbook case. So Grouchy, if you're listening, which I don't know if you listen to the PlayStation podcast, but if you are, this has a steelbook case, so you're probably going to buy it. And it has a statue of, I forget the main character's name, but the main character sitting, leaning up against his bike. Oh, I just noticed there's a dead freaker that he maybe has just run over.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know if dead and freaker, I don't know if you need to say dead freaker.
I think the word freaker implies that it's a dead human. I don't know.
Comes with those, comes with some pins, a patch, and a little art book, and then some content for the game as well. What do you think about? I think the statue looks pretty cool. I don't know.
It looks high quality, which is more than Bethesda can say about their pre-order collector.
Well, of course, the collector edition for that looked pretty good when people were ordering it.
True. Yeah, I feel like the statue, if it looks like a well-detailed statue, obviously that's probably the finished product. It doesn't look like a rendering or anything. Yeah. So I'm sure that's just what it is, and it looks good. So I think it'll just I just don't know how those games can perform or anything. It's kind of weird to like get a collector statue of a game that you don't know anything about.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I thought that too. They did have, the Horizon Zero Dawn Collector's Edition, which people are happy about owning.
Yeah. That was another one you didn't know about the game, and then it turned out to be great. And I don't know, this game could turn out to be really good. And certainly a lot of people will like it. But
so anyway, check that out on the PlayStation blog. It looks like a good collector's edition, but doesn't sound like either of us are running out to buy it. Other thing I wanted to highlight, GT Sport added 8 new cars and special stage Route X, which is a really long oval. It's like 30 kilometers long, where it has 2 straights that are 14 kilometers each, and then the ovals add the extra half kilometer each, I guess. I don't know. And it's just made for people to get up to really high speeds, practice drifting, or not drifting, practice, brain fart, driving behind other cars and
drifting.
Is that drifting?
It's drifting, not drafting.
Drafting. Yes.
Drafting. That's what it is.
There we go. I had a brain fart. 6 a.m. Anyway, so that stuff looks really good. And one reason I wanted to bring this up is that it is January 2019. This game came out, I think, in October, either September, October, or November. I forget which. I think October of 2017. And they're still getting monthly updates of actual content, and it's all free. Now, with the cars, you buy them with in-game currency, and you can buy them with real money if you like one of the cars. It's the Shelby GT 350 from 1965. I really like the Shelby GT, so if I don't know how much it costs in game, but if I didn't want to spend 1 million credits or whatever, I could just buy it with $3 of real money. But you don't have to. So it's a game. It's ongoing. We're a year and a quarter from launch, and it's still being updated with free stuff, which is cool. I also, once I finally get done with Red Dead 2, plan to dive more fully back into GT Sport and want to see if I can actually win a race online, which I've not done. Can guarantee I have a better shot of doing that than of winning a Call of Duty Blackout match.
Yeah.
So the other big news from this past week is that full cross-platform play is now live in Rocket League as part of the cross-platform beta. Where are you on this cross-platform stuff? And is this welcome news or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's welcome news. It's never really been a big deal to me. Like it sounds nice in theory, but I guess I've always been used to all the platforms being separate, so it was just never a big issue to me. But it's very cool. I mean, with the PSVG community, it does stink sometimes. A lot of people will have the same game as you, but it's on a different platform, and maybe you want to play with them, but you can't. So I guess and these are smaller games I've gotten so far with Fortnite. Well, not Fortnite's not a small game, but in Rocket League. So I guess we'll see if bigger games ever take it on.
Yeah.
But certainly cool for Rocket League.
They one thing right now, you can play cross-platform, but basically it just opens up the player base at this point. You can't play on a team with someone from Xbox or from Switch at this point. It does mention in the post on PlayStation blog that Psyonix is working on a cross-platform party system, which would allow you to partner up with friends on any platform, which, I mean, that's it, for cross-platform play to be worth anything. I think you got to have a cross-platform party system.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, what and I don't know what this would be called exactly, but what I would like to see, especially with owning a PS4 and a Switch, if I had a game, I don't really play Rocket League anymore, but if I played Rocket League a lot, or if Destiny was on Switch, I would love to have the ability to take my same file from my PlayStation 4 to my Switch. So if I wanted to play, over Christmas I was at family up in New York a lot. If I wanted to play Destiny up there, or whatever game, if I wanted to play the same Rocket League game, I could still do that on my Switch, because when I'm at home, and I like the Switch, it's a great console, but if I'm at home and I have the chance to play a game on my PlayStation 4 versus my Switch, and I have it both places, I'm going to play on my PlayStation, just because I'm more comfortable with the controller, and the system generally runs better and looks better, and everything. So it'd be nice to be able to have your save file, or have your file on one console, and then be able to drop in on another console and have the same exact pickup from the same spot, which I would think could be done with some games like Rocket League, maybe even a Destiny, where it tracks your profile, sort of from the Bungie servers or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely be prepared to log into, you're going to have to log into your system and then log into the game. That's really which then makes it seem some games will be able to afford it and some games won't. Because, I mean, that's if Destiny was to do it, that's Bungie tracking, probably more information. Because then they also have to maybe track your game progress, your single player game progress. There's just a lot of stuff to track. So
yeah, it's probably a lot more difficult than
it sounds. Yeah, but I mean, but like you said, you already have to log into your Bungie account when you play Destiny,
right?
Or you're supposed to anyway. So
with this Call of Duty thing, to even get on this trial, I had to. I mean,
have a COD account,
Call of Duty account,
yeah.
So, of course, that's probably so they can email me and say, "Hey, buy the full game."
Yeah, you liked the free trial, buy the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I like the free trial yet. Call of Duty, give me a.
Well, they're gonna tell you liked it.
All right, so we're going to move on to our topic of the week, gaming origin story. And before we get into this, I put out a call on Twitter at PSXP Podcast, said we were doing this. Received one response from faithful listener Paul Calicote, P Calicote 84, said his old man gave him an Atari when he was like 3 or 4. Pitfall, E.T., Asteroid, Pac-Man, and Pong. Then he got an NES for his 5th birthday, and the rest is history. He remembers Pong and Pitfall the most, having to switch controllers from the turn knob for Pong to the stick and button for Pitfall. So he started from an early age, and kind of what made me want to talk about this this week is that my grandpa died a week and a half ago, and he was in the hospital off and on around Christmas time, and then went back in on New Year's Day, and then died about a week later. And he played not him because he never played games. We never played video games together, but his house, I guess, played an important role in my gaming origin. But before I get into that, how did you start playing games, Justin? What do you remember? I don't know, the first system you had, or
Yep.
where,
Yeah.
how you got into gaming?
So, I remember having a Super Nintendo in the house. I mean, but I was born in '89. So we definitely had a Super Nintendo. Like my dad had a. Well, actually, I do remember. I remember the original Nintendo being in my grandma's house, but I don't. I didn't play it. I was a little bit too young for that. But I do remember like the duck game and stuff. Um, and then at some, yeah. And I do remember Duck Hunt, yeah. And I do remember having a Super Nintendo and just playing a lot of Super Mario World, and Mario Kart and that kind of stuff. But I didn't get into all of the other great Super Nintendo games. Never played any of the. I think I was just a little bit too young. Like it's easier to wrap your head around Mario, and other, like a kart racer, than Final Fantasy 6 or something.
Yeah.
So, um, so just kind of played that, but I wasn't obsessed with games. It was just kind of something to do here and there. Um, then I had a PlayStation, and I really loved that. That's when I started getting into games. Crash Bandicoot. That's when I got into Final Fantasy 7. And playing all the Final Fantasy 7 or all the Final Fantasies on PlayStation 1. I remember someone was able to burn games for us, and I remember having to like put our PlayStation 1 upside down so that you could play burnt discs or whatever, which is highly illegal, I'm sure. But I don't know, people were just kind of nerding out on that kind of stuff. And I mean, everything. I got the PlayStation Magazine, got the demo discs all the time. I remember me and my stepdad at the time, we would have we'd call them like little tournaments where we'd get a demo disc that we liked, and it'd be like you'd say best of 5 games,
Okay.
and you'd play 5 different games from a demo disc. That they're all 2-player, and it was just like because usually you only can do one race or one match, because it's only a demo. So we would just do like whoever wins 3 games, wins the tournament, the little mini tournament. So that's kind of how I started. I did get a PS2 on the launch year. I remember being very surprised by that when I was a kid, because I knew at the time it was really rare. I don't know if you remember, but like people were like they were flying off shelves basically. It was kind of like the Wii when the Wii came out, where it was so hard to find, and PS2 was another system that I really just kind of globbed onto, and played a ton of. I was a huge SOCOM fan, but and we got one of those adapters, network adapters, and
Okay.
I played SOCOM online, and that was kind of. But really, it was PlayStation 1. I think is where like a lot of my nostalgia is PS1, because it was when I was like coherent enough to actually play adult games and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's kind of it for me. It was all, just I was lucky enough to have parents or grandparents that got me those systems at the time. And I did skip a lot of Nintendo systems. So it's been kind of fun to go back now to those systems, but I never had a GameCube, I didn't have a Nintendo 64 either.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of skipped straight to the PlayStation.
Yeah, I also didn't have the only Nintendo systems I've had are the NES, the Wii, and the Switch, and I've had the DS and 3DS. So when I was a kid, some point when I was young, maybe when I was 6 or so, my granddad retired, and I would go up in the summertime and spend, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks up in New York in the summertime, just at his house and doing things. My mom is the oldest of 7 kids, and so my aunts would be around town and we'd go and do whatever. But I, lived with my granddad for a few weeks or a month every summer. And at his house, probably again because he had 7 kids, he had one thing I remember playing. He had an old Pong game, and it was just Pong. I think it was I don't know if it was an Atari version or like Coleco version. I forget, but the game was just Pong. You plugged it straight into the TV, and it had 2 not even, they weren't joysticks, but two kind of sticks that came up that you twisted around, and you by twisting it to the right or left, you move your Pong paddle up and down on the screen, and that's all it was. So I remember playing that. And then he also had a Sega Genesis, and the Sega Genesis had two attachments. It had one attachment that let you play Sega Master System games. So that's where I played. Like I really like Alex Kidd. And I played the original Master System games and a number of other Sega Master System games. And then it also had the Sega CD edition, where the only Sega CD game that I remember playing, well, there's two. One of them is there was a game with Marky Mark, and it was you took, I think it had 3 songs, and you basically made your own music video. Marky Mark, Make My Video, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch gameplay, or Marky Mark and the. So it was a series. Make My Video was a series of 3 games, and it was like FMV stuff. And you are in control of editing the music videos for Mark Wahlberg and his group, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, on the songs Good Vibrations, I Need Money, and You Gotta Believe. And I probably created, and you just like choose between one of 3 clips and you go through the video and make it. So I did that a lot for some reason. They also had Crisscross, Make My Video, and NXS. I never played either of those. And then there was also another game called Sewer Shark on Sega CD that I played. Is a first-person rail shooter game, and I also don't think it also was a full-motion video game. I think that's kind of what the hot thing was for Sega CD. The other game that I remember playing a lot there was just on the Sega Genesis, the Michael Jackson's Moonwalker game. So I played that a lot, which is crazy that they made a game where you're Michael Jackson and you're rescuing little boys out of closets. So I don't know.
I did not know that was the premise of that game.
That
Roughly
a simplified premise.
Yeah,
it's basically you walk around the levels with Michael Jackson music playing in the background. 16-bit versions of Michael Jackson music, and you have to find little kids that I guess were maybe kidnapped by the bad guys. I don't know.
Yeah,
and
then
the
scary when no matter what, no matter how you describe it, it sounds disturbing.
No, there's one level, the thriller level. You're in a graveyard and you can do the thriller dance. And then there's a level with Beat It, where you have all of the enemies are dogs and you have to kick a bunch of dogs. So
sounds basically like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, so it's a great game. So anyway, like I said, I didn't play games with my granddad, but when I was up there during the summer, and I spent a lot of time outside at the pool, and they had a park down the road, and I did a lot of stuff outside, but I also spent a lot of time inside playing games on my Sega, and some of my aunts, one in particular, played games a lot, and is the one who actually got me my early gaming systems. I got an NES when I was 5, and then later on a Sega Genesis, and eventually a PlayStation, kind of through my aunts. So that's where I don't know. That's what I was thinking about over the past couple weeks here.
Yeah, I mean, you associate. Like, I don't know about you. Like, sometimes I see a movie or play a game, and I associate it with a time or a place.
Yep.
And yeah, so like this is different from video games, but like, for some reason I'll always associate Back to the Future with my grandma's house.
Okay.
It was like the one movie she had on VHS, so I just watched it over and over and over again. And yeah, I mean, and that's when someone close to you does pass. It's nice to think about like the good times you had or the good memories, and that's cool. That's even if he wasn't playing with you, it's like you associate his house with that. And that hobby turned out to be something that you carried on with through your whole life. So that's even cooler.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously there's other memories I actually have that I actually participated with him with. Like, I live in Ohio. I'm an Indians fan, so I'm supposed to hate the Yankees. But when I was a kid growing up, the Yankees in the '90s were pretty good. And when I was in New York, we watched just about every Yankees game on TV or listened to them on the radio while we were outside swimming. So I have a soft spot in my fandom for '90s Yankees, and like I mean I like Derek Jeter and Bernie Williams and Mariano Rivera and Andy Pettitte, and I like that era of the. Anyway, that covers at least part of our how we got into gaming. Would love to hear from anybody uh, out there what got you into gaming. And then before we sign off, first I want to direct listeners to our Patreon. Our PSVG Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/PSVG to learn more. And thank you to everybody who supports us. Do want to thank the following patrons and sponsors of the entire network of shows: Coach Hulk, Edwin Callow, Dev Tyus, Kevin Austin, Chris M., Kyle Hyman, Joel Voss, Nick Metzger, Nathan Thomas, Caroline Underwood, Grouchy Surge, Justin Pickard, Delvin Cox, and Josh Borboni. That list is getting longer, and that is really awesome. That I mean, I know some of the names are familiar and are PSVG contributors, but really everybody on that list is a PSVG contributor by being involved in our community. I know we talk to a lot of them over on our Discord and interact on social media and whatnot. So thank you to all of them for supporting us. And now, before we officially close the show, I want to take just a couple minutes to talk Red Dead Redemption 2 spoilers up through about the midway point of Chapter 5. So I know the game's been out for like 3 months now. So if you are playing it and, like me, have not beaten the game yet, you might want to stop listening if you're not up through about halfway through Chapter 5 now, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. But if you are still here, we're gonna kind of go ahead. Some specific things happened, and I felt like talking about them with Justin. So, gonna rewind a little bit to Chapter 4, the end of Chapter 4, the last kind of the last set of missions. You're in Saint Denis, and you try to rob this train station that I forget what the guy's name is, but the big wealthy mobster
Brusso, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. He's like Italian mobster guy.
Yeah.
Has said, hey, you can go rob this train station anytime you want. So you go there. There's no money there, and the police come. And then you escape. You being Arthur with Dutch, and I think Micah might be with you. So you escape from there, and then you decide you're going to take revenge on this mobster guy. And you go through the bayou, through the swamp, and one of that actually, that scene where you rescue this guy out of a tree, and there's this huge alligator, and the guy is in the water, and he starts getting bit by the alligator, and you have to go rescue him and shoot the alligator. Do you remember that part?
Yep. Yeah.
That is probably the most tense, scary moment in gaming I've played in a while. And I haven't played the Resident Evil 2 and whatever, but it was pretty tense. It
was on par with like a good horror game, I would say. And they did something tricky with like where the alligator was. Like that's a mechanic that you don't ever see in the game again. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy they built it just for that one mission where and it was very cool. It felt like, I've never seen Jaws, but I guess I imagine it feels like what Jaws was like, where you're just like kind of watching, for like a snout basically kind of come out of the water so you can see where it's at.
Yeah. It so that was a fun scene. But anyway, that leads up to you taking some boats up to this Italian mobster guy's mansion, and then you go in and shoot all through the mansion and eventually kidnap the guy. And you are, I don't know what the plan is, but you're going to take him for ransom or something. And Dutch ends up getting really angry at him and just chokes him out in the water and feeds him to the gator. Which is, I feel like throughout the game here, and again, I'm not at the end yet, but throughout the game, you're building up to Dutch slowly his grasp on reality. and he's becoming less and less sane throughout. So you go from there, and then you go to a final mission. You're of that chapter. You're going to make a lot of money and escape to Tahiti. So you set up this bank heist, and eventually it turns out that the Pinkertons are onto you. They grab Hosea, and during this mission, Hosea dies, and
Lenny dies. as
Lenny
well.
dies.
Yep.
Yeah. And John Marston is arrested, and then you escape and end up being washed up on the shore of Guarma. How do you think at the end of that chapter it handled the deaths of Hosea and Lenny, and just kind of any thoughts about that kind of sequence?
So it was all very surprising, I guess.
Yeah. I
'cause
was.
it was the first. Had you had the fight with? I think you'd already had the big fight with the rival gang outside of the manor in Saints. Okay. Because you lose. They kill the one guy. He used to be part of that gang, and then he joined your gang. I can't think of his name right now, but so that was kind of like the first kind of major character death. He was a new member of the gang, so it wasn't really a big deal. But the Hosea was very surprising, and they obviously show how much that made Dutch mad.
Yep.
The Lenny was I liked him more as a character.
Oh yeah, I really like Lenny.
And they set that up because you do the early mission when you go out drinking with Lenny, and he's just always down to ride with you, always down to help out. So I think they set him up to be one of the more likable members of the gang. And it's just he dies, and you have to keep going.
Right.
You can't do anything. You can't mourn. You can't do anything. And I think that's you can tell it upsets Arthur. I don't know. It bothers him for sure that there's never you can't mourn Hosea or Lenny really, because they're just now they're in Guarma. Then they go to Guarma, and then then they come back, and it's just one thing after another. And you'll see later on that trend kind of continues.
Yeah. Well, in Guarma, as you wash up and you're trying to survive, you see there's a scene where this old lady helps you out to takes you through this cave so that you can spring a surprise attack on the. Again, I don't know any names of people, but on the guy who's sort of the bad guy in charge of Guarma and what's going on there. There's it's like salt mines or something. I don't know, some mining stuff, and then there's a big bad guy that the slaves who are on Guarma want to overthrow. So this old lady's taking you through to attack this guy, and Dutch, for whatever reason, gets in his mind that she's going to double cross him, or he's just frustrated in general, but he kills her.
Yeah.
And
well, he doesn't just. I mean, I think the point is that he doesn't just kill her. He chokes her to death with his bare hands. And me and you have kind of talked about how it's a little bit weird because it's. I mean, Arthur has killed.
We've killed hundreds.
Tons of people. But it's always a gun battle or a gunfight, or someone's trying to physically attack him and he has to attack back or whatever. It's never in this. It's just very cold, to kill someone with your bare hands. And you have a similar moment when you're out in the bayou with the alligators,
right?
Where Dutch feeds this guy to the alligator to kill him. And it's there's less honor. Arthur knows there's less honor in killing someone that way or being, that ruthless.
Yeah. You're starting to, and Arthur's starting to push. I don't know if push back exactly even yet, but starting to question.
Yeah, he's openly questioning him. I would say. I mean, he and Dutch kind of just you can see that their relationship is starting to break a little bit. Because Dutch isn't one to be questioned, basically.
The other thing I want to about Guarma, that section, you basically go to this island that is very primitive, jungly, tropical, and basically the island is just one long mission. There I didn't do any exploring. I just went and did the missions.
Yeah,
But it's kind of like once you start the mission, you're on the mission, and then you eventually get off of Guarma and you're back in the mainland.
Well, that was the weird. I mean, that whole section is it's the worst part of the game, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I think everyone kind of agrees because you can't explore. There's really nothing to do, and it seems kind of crazy they built this whole map just so that you could do a couple missions.
Yep.
The only thing I'll say is like there are really cool action sequences.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like it was their excuse for throwing a ton of action into the game all of a sudden.
Yep.
And a lot of combat. But it just the amount of time it must have gone into making that island and stuff just to do really 3 or 4 missions, I think, or maybe 5. And yeah, you can't explore, you can't really do anything. But yeah, it was really interesting. Yeah. But you get that one good character moment and a lot of action out of that sequence.
Yeah. So I've kind of throughout playing, Red Dead 2 is a huge open world game, and in my current gaming, it's been 3 months, and my story counter says I'm 60% of the way through the game. So I don't know. So it's taken me a long time, and I've kind of said all along where, maybe if it wasn't open world and they just presented it like an Uncharted game, maybe I could get through it a little bit faster. But this Guarma section was essentially kind of like an Uncharted game where it just, it was cutscene, gameplay, action sequence.
Yeah,
cutscene,
it was linear. Yeah,
and it wasn't as good as Naughty Dog, which is okay. I mean, they're not the same games, but this section played kind of like an Uncharted game to me, I thought. And it just wasn't as good. Had a couple good character moments, and then you get back to the mainland, and the horse ride from shore back to Shady Belle has that music moment, the Mexico music moment from the first game. It is now the Shady Belle music moment. I don't know. It's an awesome song as you're just journeying back. It's really a long journey. For whatever reason, I guess the reason why you wash up there is so that they can play this song, and to kind of ease you down from the heavy action you just witnessed to the regular Red Dead gameplay again. So you go there, and you're looking for your gang, and you eventually find them at this hideout north of Saint Denis. And you get there, and everyone's happy, and we're gonna find a way to rescue John, and then we're gonna get money and get out of here. And then the Pinkertons show up. And I could have sworn when the Pinkertons show up and you, as Arthur with Sadie, you push out of this shed to start attacking them, and it goes into the Deadeye mode. I thought that was going to be the end of Arthur, because it felt an awful lot to me like the end of Red Dead 1, where John Marston is in the barn, comes out of the barn, and all of the detectives or whatever are there, and they gun him down. It felt an awful lot like that scene, which maybe is what they were going for. But you survive that, and then that's basically where I am right now.
Okay. Yeah. And I kind of remember, like, after coming back from Guarma, it was all just a lot. Like, you go through this huge action scene in Guarma, and there's some like pretty long. Those missions are pretty long.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got this when those Pinkertons show up. There's like a ton of them. So it's a pretty big combat mission. That after Guarma is probably when that first music moment is when I started to turn on the game a little bit, or turn for the better on this game. Where I was enjoying it more and more. I was getting really great story content out of it. You're seeing more and more of the holes in Dutch's stories and his character, and that's just the most interesting part of the game by far to me is Dutch's story. And in Arthur, it's just and things only get better from here to the end of the game. The second half of the game is way better than the first, in my opinion. First half of the game also had a lot of tutorial stuff that it drags out for several chapters, which I understand because they put so many systems in the game, and that's why I don't like about the game still to this day is how many systems they have and all that stuff. But like the second half of the game and the story is, best I've seen, so And that I wish there was more of those music moments. I wish, because even even before chapter 4, I think it's chapter 3 maybe, when you're helping out the two combating families.
Yeah.
And that last mission when Jack gets stolen and you realize that it's what's their names, the
I don't remember, but
something Wraith.
Yeah, the old lady.
Yeah,
is the head of.
Yeah, when you storm into her house and you I kind of wish they had played some music there's something about that really well made music, and you put it into a sequence. It really just it makes for a really awesome moment. I kind of wish they had done that leading up to that manor or something. But that's also a really crazy story moment. I mean, you see Dutch basically dragging her by her hair, and she's screaming, and they're lighting the house on fire. You can't feel good about any of the things you're doing, even though she stole Jack or whatever. But you really see Dutch for who he is. He's pretty cruel when he wants to be.
Yeah, he is. So anyway, I wanted to, like I said, touch base on Red Dead kind of around Guarma, just because the Guarma section is interesting, but it's just a completely different game, and it's not. I don't know.
I think they could have done something different to still get the action sequences and something all it's bizarre, but I can't wait to hear you continue, because you're in the best part of the game now, in my opinion. From here,
and I'm at from where I am now. I think I have 3 main spots on my map, and it's to go talk to Dutch about something, I forget what, to go with Sadie, and I assume rescue John from captivity. And then up north I have the did you do the legendary gunslingers?
No, I did not.
That's one of my favorite parts of the game. Going around and tracking down the 4 legendary gunslingers, which I've done, and then you go and meet this guy in Saint Denis, and then he sends you off to find one other gunslinger, and so I need to go up north and find this other guy. And so I'm probably going to do that next, and then get into the main story stuff again. Just because really the legendary gunslingers, I haven't done a ton of side stuff, but that's my favorite of the side missions, and it's just some really good character. The characters aren't even around for that long, but they're really memorable characters. So, and with that, I think we are going to call it a show. So thank you to everybody for listening. As always, you can reach out to us on Twitter at PSXP Podcast. You can reach us on Discord. Of course, visit again the Patreon at patreon.com/PSVG. And with that, have a great week.
And though we may pledge fanboy allegiances to different flags, deep down inside we all serve one master, one king. And his name is gaming. Forever may he reign!
This has been a production of the Play Some Video Games Podcast Network.